Hey, it's Patrick Regan here from Kintsugi Hope. It's an absolute pleasure to be able to do this for you in Christians in Entertainment. And I also wanted to draw your attention to my latest book, Bouncing Forwards, Notes on Resilience, Courage and Change. And we're going to be doing a launch of this on the 28th of March with Anne Frank's stepsister, Eva Shalos, which I'm very excited about. She was in Auschwitz for a year. Nina Hussain from ITV is hosting the evening. We've got John Sutherland, a retired police borough commander. Liz Carter, a poet who is just stunning. And also Terry Waite, hostage, as you'll probably remember, in Lebanon. But today, I want to talk to you about perfectionism. Now, I always used to think that perfectionism was for those people at school whose parents just put too much pressure on them. But I've started to realise that perfectionism is on a continuum. It's like a moving target that we can never hit, and it affects all of us, particularly in the arts industry and the events industry. David Byrne says this: perfectionists are people whose standards are high beyond reason or reach, who strain compulsively and unremittedly towards impossible goals and measure their worth entirely in terms of productivity and accomplishment. I guess 5 characteristics of a perfectionist is procrastination, really struggling to make decisions, fear of failure, the all or nothing mindset, paralysed perfectionism, and if you're not careful, a workaholic. You know, perfectionism is the self-abuse of the highest order, says Anne Watson. It's constantly telling us, perform, be perfect, it's not enough. It can reveal itself in catastrophic thinking. You know, the smallest disagreement can suddenly be the end of the world. Or mind reading. You think you know what others think about you, but with very little evidence. Unrealistic expectations. You know, we are living still through a pandemic. And yet often what we use terms as perfectionists is I should, I must, I ought. And actually that's not really helpful for us. Perfectionists hate making mistakes. We can be quite obsessive in double checking everything, making decisions, taking constructive criticism or praise can be really, really hard as well. There's a real tendency with perfectionists to have a failure to celebrate their achievements or to people please all the time. So you change depending on who you are with. So you don't really allow people to see your authentic self. And so we've got to really grapple with what does God say about perfectionism. Now the challenge is when this is often preached about or spoken about, Matthew 5 verse 48 is always brought up. And you'll know the verse well. Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. But the challenge with this is how it's translated. The Greek word is telos, which means to move towards fulfillment, to move towards completion. It's actually about being authentic, integrity. Brené Brown, the famous research professor, says the opposite to perfectionism is wholeheartedness, to be authentic. And the context of this verse is actually Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount talking about loving your enemies. And so it is really important for us at this time that we do not let perfect, famous quote, do not let perfect be the enemy of good. It might not be perfect, but can it be good? And you know, we cannot keep putting ourselves under that huge amounts of pressure. It's interesting, my daughter Abigail, she's very precious obviously to me and Diane. She has a disability called nystagmus, which means she can't see as well as other kids see. And I always get a little bit frustrated at the end of year assembly when every other kid, not every kid, but a lot of the kids get 100% attendance certificate. Because Abby will never be able to get that because she has hospital appointments and checks and things like that. And when I get her report, is Abby often, nearly every subject gets an A for effort. Though because some of her challenges she has, she may not get a GCSE. She might, I don't know, but she may not. But yet we live in a society that says that performance is more important than character. Stats and programs are more important than kindness. And yet sometimes we need to realise that God doesn't call us to be perfect. He calls us to try and do our best. There's a big difference between trying your best and being perfect. He calls us to give it our best, but it doesn't call us to be perfect. And so sometimes we need to learn that in this time. I hope this has been helpful to you. It's been such an honour to be with you guys. Go gently, be kind, and stay connected to one another. May God bless you.